as important as it did on Friday with regard to that whole process of impeachment. If at all the court process was not properly followed through, it does indeed raise questions about the legitimacy of the entire impeachment process. You are an officer of the court as well. Kindly clarify for us what should happen next.
Yeah, Kenyans listening to me must know that the litigation process is a long process. If you start at the High Court, there is the Court of Appeal, and there is the Supreme Court for appropriate cases. If you start at the Magistrates Court, you go to the High Court, you go to the Court of Appeal, you go to the Supreme Court. So that was the opinion and the decision of the Court of Appeal. But there is still another level. The final court in Kenya would be the Supreme Court. So most likely, the litigants who didn't get a favorable decision would appeal that decision and would seek a stay of those execution of those orders. So most likely, the decision may not be effected for now, and we will wait for an interpretation in the Supreme Court, whether the Supreme Court will agree with the Court of Appeal or not is a matter of conjecture. And again, we should know that it doesn't have to end up in litigation. It doesn't have to go all the way to the Court of Appeal. Even as stay orders are there, nothing stops the parties from seeking what we call ADR, Alternative Dispute Resolution, which essentially means that if one of the litigants and the other litigants make some form of agreement, then the matter doesn't have to proceed. The whole thing ends there, because in law we say that a bad consent between litigants is better than a perfect judgment, because normally the litigants are the ones who are directly affected, and when they make an agreement one way or the other, it serves the ends of justice better than when another party makes the agreement for you or forces a decision on you. So either of those two parts are possible right now. So for me, I see, okay, it's news, but really for most lawyers or people who are in this space will know that it's not over until it's over.
Yes, but definitely for political purposes, it does excite at least one of the sides. The fact that barring all this intervention that you've talked about, the Court of Appeal pronounced itself. If we may just go with what the Court of Appeal said, does it raise issues of legitimacy on the position of the Deputy President?
It depends on interpretation. Depends on interpretations. So that's why I'm saying maybe other people can discuss that and say this or the other. But for me, for as long as there's an appeal process, the litigation is not over. So I can't, for example, now talk about legitimacy right now when it's obvious that tomorrow, the day after, whatever, they'll get a stay. So then what are we talking about? I think it's just throwing things in the air.
Yes. Bwana Pugisi, what's your opinion on this? Because the court has pronounced itself.